Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Delaney. I'm back. I know I've been gone for a while, but I appreciate you guys for waiting patiently and sticking around. So, let me just explain where I have been. So, the past couple of weeks, a couple weeks ago, I got COVID. That was like so terrible. And I thought I had an episode already recorded. Actually, I know I did. But it was gone. So I was not a big fan of that at all. I lost that episode. And then after that, I've just been really busy. I've been doing a lot of stuff lately, and I'm finally back on my grind. We're back. I'm working on some really cool stuff to get put out in the next few weeks to months. I've been talking with a lot of people that I'm going to get on the show with me so that you guys don't have to just listen to me talk to myself anymore for much longer, hopefully. That is the goal. But yeah, I've been working on some back end stuff, and that's just kind of where I've been. I've been working more on how I can make this a better experience rather than just like pumping out a bunch of episodes and all of them being kind of mediocre. Also, if I sound a little better, I got a new microphone. So I'm not sure if it sounds better or not. I hope it does, and I hope that this is a better listening experience for everyone that has listened to the first episodes. Anyways, with all of that being said, welcome back to Silent Sender. My name is Delaney McSweeney, and I am your host. Today, we are going to be talking about just generally the pros and cons of college athletics. And I put a poll, or not really a poll, one of those like little question asking things on my Instagram story a while ago, and asked two questions. I asked, what is the best part of being a college athlete, and what is the worst part of being a college athlete? And today I'm just going to kind of expand on the responses that I got from people so we can consider the Instagram story responses from a variety of people, our silent senders of the day. I got an array of different sports and people and different backgrounds and different levels of competition and all of that. So I thought that was really interesting. I have 5 of the pros and I think 6 of the cons. It might be 5 and 5. I'm not 100% sure. But with that being said, let's get into it. So we're going to start with the cons because you always want to end on a good note. So the first con that I have written down that was put in my Instagram story says, and again, the question prompt is, what is the worst part of being a college athlete? First response, the monotony. It can get really boring. This is honestly not something that I had like ever thought about until someone put that in the answer, but it's like so true. Every single day looks exactly the same, and you're just like, I don't know, talk about like an average schedule for an in-season athlete. It's going to be like, wake up, go to class, you have like all your classes before 1 o'clock, and then you have a blocked out, like, I don't know, 2 to 6 practice block. So that could look like going to lift at 2 and then going over to practice, practicing 3 to 6. And this doesn't even include like having to go in early for rehab, having to go in early for extra reps, staying after for extra reps, all of that. So, morning class, lift and practice, and then it's like you need to eat. You have to probably get some schoolwork done, all of that jazz. So yeah, I've never really thought about the monotony and how that can get like super boring and super repetitive when you are doing it every single day. And like as athletes, a lot of the times you're not having like options. Like it's your schedule is there and it's like you're going to go to every single thing on your schedule. And if you don't, there's going to be consequences. So you get better at figuring it out as you go, but the monotony thing I just think is super interesting to talk about, and it is definitely a con that I had not thought about before. The second con that was put in, and I got this one a lot from other people, it just says, no time for anything. We base our whole lives off our sports. Again, kind of what I was just talking about. You have no time for anything. When I was talking about that schedule, I was kind of laying out how the day looks. But like some things I didn't even mention, like lunch. When are you supposed to eat lunch when you have, I don't know, 3 classes in the morning with 15 minutes between each one, and then have to go straight to lift, straight to practice, straight to, then you're going to dinner, and then home and homework and getting study hours if that's something that you have to do and all of that. There's no time for like lunch. It's crazy. I remember being in a situation where I had mentioned that I don't have time for lunch. At the time, I had like 4 classes on Wednesdays. So it was just like back to back to back to back, straight into lift, straight into practice, like I was just saying. And I remember my coach at that point telling me, like, you need to start sending me pictures of your lunch. Like, I need to make sure that you're eating, blah, blah, blah. And I literally was like, I don't even have time for lunch. I'm not even going to have a picture to send because there's no time. Like, I didn't have any time at all. And more on that whole no time for anything, and we base our whole lives off of sports, this kind of leads to, in a lot of cases, at least from my experience, school being put on a back burner. Like, I need to go to volleyball. I have to get all of this stuff done. And if I miss a homework assignment, it's okay because, like, I'm not, personally, I was on a scholarship and I was like, I'm not getting scholarship money for turning in my homework. I'm getting scholarship money because I'm good at the sport that I play. And I think a lot of people can relate to that and just being like, I don't need to worry about school as much because what matters more is how my coach thinks about me and how my teammates think about me and how my sports performance coaches think about me and all of that. When in reality, it probably should be more of a focus on school and volleyball or your sport or whatever being the thing on the back burner. But when you're in the moment, there's just no way to make your sport the back burner thing because that is like everything that you revolve your life around. And on that same thing with the no time for anything, I mean, this means like anything. There's a lot of times when people will be like going on little weekend trips or like even just like seeing family. Like there's no time at all. Family has to come see you, and even if they come and see you, it's like, you might get a dinner with them or you might be able to walk them around the campus and hang out with them for a little bit, but it's not like, being able to see them and being able to actually like see the people that like raised you and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You really don't have time for anything. You can make time, but like I had hobbies that I just like couldn't do as much, which sucks because I really like my hobbies and my stuff on the side. And I was definitely a person that put school on the back burner a lot, and I would do that for my hobbies too. I would be like, okay, volleyball and hobbies, and then like I might get around to doing a little bit of schoolwork that I need to get done. I don't recommend that you take that advice. Definitely focus on school. You need to do good in school. The next thing that someone put down for cons, and we have obviously talked about this at great lengths on this podcast, but they just wrote coaches. And that's definitely going to be like a depend on where you are situation. If you have like a good relationship with your coach, that's obviously going to be on the pro side. And if you don't, it's going to be on the con side. There's not a lot of middle ground with coaches. You're probably either going to love them or hate them, which sucks. But it really is like the true reality of being a college athlete and figuring out life and who you are and who you can trust and who you can't and all of that. So the coaches thing, in my experience, that's definitely partially true. And not that I didn't have any good coaches along my road. I definitely had some good coaches that stick out in my head, but there were also some that stick out in the opposite way and in the way that some people find it to be the worst part of their college athletic experience. And we see it all the time with transferring and quitting your sport. And a lot of times it is because of coaches and environment and all of that. The next thing on the cons list, and this one really made me laugh, so shout out to the person that put this on my Instagram story response box. It just says forgetting stuff on travel trips, and oh my god, that is so real. It's like people think it's going to be like the absolute end of the world if you forgot to pack something, and it's not even like important things, like maybe you forgot to pack the proper practice t-shirt, so now you're in a different practice t-shirt and everyone thinks it's the end of the world. It's still a t-shirt. We're not here to play the whole t-shirt game, I remember at one point at one of my first schools, I remember a girl wearing like, I don't know, the wrong like shorts or spandex or something, and we ran for it. Like, what? Why are we running because of that? It's like such a minimal thing. And I remember our coaches being like, we need to have time to focus on volleyball and we can't because we have to do this. We don't have to do this. We could just like, play volleyball in practice and not run for someone wearing the wrong shorts, which is just so silly. But like forgetting stuff on travel trips actually can make you have a heart attack, especially if you play for a team where you have to bring your own like jerseys and stuff. That's something that would give me a lot of stress if I forgot. I also think, well, at least in my case, I think people don't realize that usually like trainers will bring extra jerseys with them and like a bunch of extra stuff in the case of that happening. So again, even if something does happen, it is not the end of the world. Even if there are people around you that are like harping on you and making you feel like you've just committed a cardinal sin for wearing the wrong sock or whatever. The next thing that someone put down, which I kind of already touched on earlier, it just says no weekends. And yeah, there were many a times in my college career where I wished so badly I could be doing something on the weekends with my friends. Specifically, the worst one is always like football games. I always wanted to be one of the girls that was like, I'm going tailgating and I'm going to a football game every weekend and it's so fun and I'm just having fun with my friends. And we literally could maybe do that once a season and it was never like a tailgating thing. I don't have any memories of being able to go to a tailgate and like party, And I think a lot of people actually have a really tough time with that, like not being able to go out and not being able to party and like do all these what we would consider pinnacle things to the college experience, depending on who you are. Obviously, those things are important for everyone, but there are definitely people that want that to be like part of their college experience. And if you are a student athlete, it is going to be a very minimal portion of your experience, if even at all, especially when you're in season. Like, that's just not even going to be much of a thing at all while you're in season. Yeah, that part actually does really suck. I was definitely someone that wanted to have my weekends and wanted to have more than 12 hours off before my next thing, like the whole big long schedule and then having like one night to myself sucked. I really wanted a weekend. Even if it wasn't like going out and stuff, I just wanted like 2 days of downtime where I could just be like, okay, decompress, work on homework, catch up, get all of that stuff done, like clean my apartment. I had no time to do that ever. So that's a funny one. The last con that I have written down is, and I like this one a lot, it says the mental load between academics and performing every day at practices and games. So at my first school, I went to a technically like kind of smart person school. I always describe it as like a school that people go to when they couldn't make it into an Ivy League school. We're like the next tier down. I never like really had a problem with it because I was a comm major. So, I don't know anything about the academic rigor of the school, but I know that other people that I was around definitely did. And another thing to note about the whole like mental load between academics and performing, one thing is like, you do not have every option in academics when you're an athlete. Like, there are some things that like a lot of the times people don't do because they just straight up like don't have the time or don't want to like miss practices. Like, especially with like science majors and labs, people will just like not do that because they don't want to miss stuff and miss practices and risk their spot on a volleyball team or on their own team or whatever. And I see this like all the time and it's like so sad. I wish people could just like be able to pursue both of their goals. It's kind of funny now that I'm saying it out loud. I feel like I'm talking about High School Musical, but it really is true. There's like things that you can't do or it would be very difficult to do. I do know people that like did things that a lot of times athletes don't do. I know people that went into science fields, engineering fields. I know people that like, another big one is education. Like, education can be really hard to do as a student athlete. And also, more on that, the whole mental load between academics and performing every day at practices and games. Like, if you are struggling in school, let's just picture this. You're struggling in school. Things are going like really poorly and you're just like upset about it, down about it, whatever. And then you have to go to practice. You just opened your phone, saw a Canvas notification, you failed a test. Now you've got 15 minutes so you have to be at practice. It's so hard to like let things go and just leave it at the door like that when you go to practice, especially if you're just like down about something in that academic space. And then also, maybe you're preparing for a test the next day and you're missing like 4 or 5 hours of like crucial studying time because you're at a practice that goes all day, or you're at rehab, or you're at getting extra reps after practice and you need to eat and all of that. So I definitely think that like the mental load is difficult. And one thing that people used to always say at my first school that I totally agree with is that it never gets easier. You just get better at handling it. And that's true. It's probably never going to become like easier, but you can make it easier on yourself by taking a better approach to it and finding the skills that work for you and tools that work for you and all of that jazz to make your experience better and make you like maximum efficiency, I guess. Okay, so now that we're done with the cons, let's switch over and let's talk about the pros. And again, the prompt for the question was, what is the best part of being a college athlete? Let's talk about some good stuff, make people a little happy, realize it's not all bad. There's definitely difficult times, but there are good things that come from it. So the first thing that I have, and what I believed to be my best part of my college experience, is teammates. You are going to make so many lifelong friends and like deep connections with people that you would have never met had you not had the opportunity to play sport. Like that's the craziest part to me, that a lot of my best friends today I would have never met if I didn't play volleyball. And if you are like going through a really tough time, let's say with like coaches or with practices or with school, your teammates and your friends around you are always going to be the people that pick you up. And like, especially in my case, we were all in a very like difficult situation with our coaches at some point or another. And in a way, not the best way to go about it, but in a way it brought all of us like very close together, and it just made for a really special group of teammates and a really special team that like I still talk to this day. And that is just like really special to me and really important to me. And I think people should really focus on that as like their biggest pro for their college athletics experience. The next pro is, of course, the gear. I always went to a Nike school, and I literally have so much stuff from my schools that I attended, and I've gotten rid of a lot of it too, and I still have so much. Like, I'm talking, we got a bunch of practice shirts, sweatshirts, pants, jackets, leggings, socks, sports bras, spandex, shoes, like everything that you could ask for. I still have shoes that I got from the schools to this day because I didn't have to pay for them, and they're in pretty good shape. And I just like that part of college athletics. It's so stupid, and you should definitely not do it if your only thing is that you want the gear. But it was definitely a good perk, and I feel like most of my college experience, we got like very good gear, very high quality stuff, and I always felt so cool, even though, the whole athlete stereotype, always wearing their athlete clothes, that was 100% me. I didn't have time to put together a cute outfit for class, guys. I'm rolling up in my, team issued gear to class with my team issued backpack, probably a team-issued water bottle as well. All of that jazz. But the gear is definitely a plus. I like that pro. The next pro, kind of in that same vein, is being able to say that you're a student athlete. I don't know about other student athletes, but that's on my resume. And that's staying on my resume because I think it is a good highlight of having leadership skills, organizational skills, being able to multitask, being a hard worker, going through adversity, being a competitor, all of that. I think those are like, they're good things to have. Being a good communicator, like anything, you can pull any experience from your time as a student athlete. And then after college, something I realized is it is so much fun to tell people that you were a student athlete. People I mean, I'm really tall, so I always get asked if I played basketball. And I'm always like, no, I actually played volleyball and I played 5 years in college. Yeah, I was a student athlete. And sometimes people think it's cool. Sometimes they don't. I don't care if they think it's cool or not. I think it's cool. And I like to tell people about that. And I like to tell people about my experience. Duh, look what I'm doing right now. So the last two are basically just repeats of what I was saying earlier. Here's verbatim what one of the people said. They said friends trauma bonding, and the other one is the community and bonds you make with your teammates and other athletes. And that's the one that I want to highlight. Not only are you going to become really good friends with the people that you're around a lot and your teammates and people that you have this common interest with, but the community of like friends and acquaintances and whatever that you can build outside of your sport is awesome. I loved having friends with different experiences than me. Talk about like friends that play women's basketball or women's soccer, or like guys on a football team, guys on a basketball team, whatever it is. Everyone has such different experiences within their sport, and being able to, if you're having a bad day or having a bad thing, being able to rant to someone that is completely unattached from your sport and your situation, and just being able to tell them about it and know that they'll have maybe a different perspective or a fresh perspective on it is so important and so nice. And then just like getting together and having fun with other teams, other athletes, people outside of your circle is just like so special and really helpful in the long run. It is so nice to have just like such a big group of people where like if I'm in a situation in all these different spots of the country that I live in, I know people that are everywhere now. I could get help, in a lot of places at this point, just having those people around you and surrounding yourself with people that are going to make a positive impact in your life. It's just so 100% the best part of being an athlete. And just like, I cannot explain it enough, I don't think, to actually get the full scope of what I'm talking about. I just feel like those relationships are really, really special. Okay, so I think that is all for today. I don't have anything else on my list of pros and cons. I do really appreciate all the people that dropped those in my inbox and let me share them on this podcast. Thank you guys for listening again. I really do appreciate all of the support, and I'm sorry that I was MIA for so long. I'm coming back. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be really cool. You guys should stick around and keep listening to my show on Mondays. There's going to be episodes coming out now. Don't worry about it, guys. They're coming. But yeah, I really appreciate all of you guys for listening and putting your trust and faith in me and all of that jazz. Follow Silent Sender Pod on TikTok, Instagram, basically anywhere. Our podcast episodes are on YouTube and Spotify. And yeah, I think that's it. If you have any stories, go ahead and fill out the form that is linked in the description below. And you can go ahead and find that form in the Instagram bio as well. Thank you guys for listening so much, and I'll see you guys next week with another episode of Silent Sender. Bye!